Hello, guys, and welcome to our very first installment of the podcast. I would tell you a name, but we don't have a name. We'll figure it out as we go. I'm Cody, and I've got my guy over here, Connor. Connor, take it away. Tell us about yourself.
I'm Connor.
And I'm Cody.
That's right.
We got some good topics today for you guys. I'm going to let Connor start with the first topic because he is a little bit more prepared than I am. I'm more of a go with the flow. He's got a plan a little bit. So with us together, this should be real interesting. So you go ahead and pick our first topic, Connor.
All right. First one we got is what football position requires the most skill?
Okay, so to be transparent with you guys, we both answered this question yesterday to each other. This is probably the one topic that is planned out of everything we'll talk about today. And I have no idea where this is going to go. All I know is one of us is going to be right, me, and then there's going to be another guy who's wrong, and he's on the other side of the screen. So, Connor, I'll let you give your answer first, and then I will tell you why you're wrong.
It's tight end. Tight end is the position that takes the most skill in the NFL. College is a little different.
Okay.
High school is a little different.
Okay.
Tight end in the NFL is the hardest position and the most skilled position to play.
So, I would have accepted two answers here yesterday.
Yeah.
First one I would have accepted but wasn't right would have been quarterback.
I can also agree with that.
That's one that I think that if you would have said, I would have been like, I mean, you're wrong, but I can understand why you're wrong. But the real answer is cornerback, and it's not even close. It's not even close.
No, that's like it doesn't require that much skill to play.
So
It's just a defensive wide receiver, basically.
a good cornerback can win you a Super Bowl. He can also lose you a Super Bowl.
If you would have said safety, I might have agreed there.
So safety is just if you have bad quarterbacks, right? I mean, realistically, a safety is an insurance policy. That's how I look at it, right? Obviously, as me playing Madden, the main guy I use is always the safety, right? But that's because I can cover the whole field by myself in a video game, right? We're not talking about a video game here, Connor. We're talking about real life, right? So the tight end, I'll be completely honest with you, right? I think tight end's actually one of the easier positions. And that's not just me being obstinate, because I love to be obstinate with you, right? Me and you have these battles all the time. And I think that's why you guys will enjoy this podcast, because me and Connor, we're very, very close. One of us is normally right. Yeah, exactly. We disagree on everything sports related. Tight end is one of the easiest positions to play. Now, I'm not saying there aren't great tight ends. Right? There is maybe five of all time that are game changers. 5. Right?
Out of the history of the NFL, there's 5.
5 like true game changers. You gotta, I mean, not 5 good tight ends, right? There's 30 great tight ends. There are 5 game changing tight ends. Tony Gonzalez.
Yep.
Rob Gronkowski, Travis Kelce, and I know I'm missing 2 somewhere, so I'm giving a buffer for 2.
Antonio Gates.
Antonio Gates, he's up there. So leaving one spot for someone that we're blanking on, right? Those guys have an impact on the game every game. But that's not because they're just tight ends. You look at the tight end position, they're not traditional tight ends, right? They go above and beyond. You can win a Super Bowl with a bad tight end.
I agree. But it's the position that takes the most skill to play. These guys, right? These guys are big. They're really tall. They're really strong. They play on the O-line.
So let me ask you this.
What run out like a receiver.
What skill is being tall?
It's not skill. But you have to be tall. You have to be athletic. You got to be fast. You got to be strong.
I didn't realize the high school nerd was playing in the NFL, who was not coordinated.
You gotta know when to do blocks, when to get open.
So I'm glad you brought that up, because that was my next point. Blocking, right? You cannot be a good wide receiver and not be able to catch the ball. Agree? To be a good wide receiver, you have to be able to catch the ball, right? Yep. To be a phenomenal receiver, you have to be able to catch the ball. That gives you one skill, right? Most great quarterbacks have to be able to throw the ball. Now,
accurately,
right now, that boy over there in Chicago is going to try and argue that point, right? And we're going to see where that goes with Justin Fields. I mean, he's going to set rushing records year after year for the next probably 7 years until people start to really figure it out. Because I think he's different than Lamar. He's not as fast as Lamar, but he's different. But to be a truly elite quarterback, right, you have to be able to throw the ball. We agree on that.
Yep.
At least sometimes, right? Like Lamar, he can throw the ball. He doesn't do it to the level of like Tom Brady in his prime or Aaron Rodgers in his prime. You know, that real small window that Rodgers had. He doesn't do it like... I'll even go as say as I don't think Lamar Jackson's a top 7 QB for throwing. Now, you put him in with running and throwing, yeah, he's obviously a top 7 quarterback, right? No doubt about that. But he is not a top 7 just throwing quarterback. I just don't think so, in my opinion. Now, I'm spitballing here.
I think you're right.
Right, or at least close, right?
Throwing ability.
Throwing ability. I don't know if he's top
7.
Right, because I've got. I mean, I'm thinking of 4 off the top of my head that are just better. I mean, and that's flat out. It's not even close, right? So then you start adding in some of those maybes, that conversation changes. So that takes one skill to be really good at. So then you look at the defensive line, or the offensive line. Actually, the line in general, right? They have to be strong. They have to be able to block. Guaranteed. If you are not blocking, you are not on that line. Offensive, defensive, doesn't matter.
Yep.
Right? So that leads me to tight end. Or actually, then I'm going to go to cornerback, right? Which is my position. I'm going to argue for my position, and then I'm going to tell you why your position is wrong, and then you can argue with mine. Cornerback, you have to be fast. Have to be. You will not guard the best wide receivers. You got to keep up. Yeah. You have to be able to you have to be able to catch at some point. To be considered an elite cornerback, you have to be able to catch the ball.
I agree.
You have to be able to read eyes, right? Because that's your whole position. You have to be able to read eyes. And you have to be willing to know when to take a risk and when not to take a risk, right? Because if you're trying to jump that football, if you're trying to backpedal, if you're trying to just break up the pass, if you're trying to say, okay, he's going to catch it, you automatically have to know the game situation for every situation, right? You have to know the game situation of a quarterback. You have to be able to catch the ball like a wide receiver. And let's be completely frank, sometimes you have to block for the running back too, right?
Sure.
Now, there are great wide receivers who have never blocked a good block in a day in their life. So I'm not saying that's a required skill. Now, let's get to tight end and why you're wrong, okay? Because you're so far wrong.
I'd love to hear it.
There are tight ends who can't catch for a lick. There are great tight ends, not game-changing ones like we talked about, right? We're talking about those 5. Those are the best 5 tight ends in all of football that have ever existed. Yep. So we're talking about outside of those top 5, right?
Yeah.
There are great tight ends who have not the greatest hands, or run after catches, right? I'm having a huge brain fart, but I had them in my mind earlier. The tight end for the Cowboys a couple of years ago, he retired and then came back. I can't remember. I'm brain farting. Absolutely brain farting. He had decent. What was it?
I am too. Now I gotta look it up.
Yep, that's what I'm doing right now.
Jason Witten.
Witten. Yep. So Jason Witten, could catch. Don't get me wrong. He didn't have the best hands in the NFL, but he could catch. But he could not run. His yards after catch is probably one of the lowest, and he's considered a great tight end. I think, at least. You think a tight end, he's probably in the top 10, maybe, if not top 12, top 10. If not top 10, top 12, sorry.
I think he's top 10.
I would say so, right? I would actually probably say top 9 or 8, but I'm going to call it top 10 because there's definitely a lot of arguments once you get past that 7 spot, right? There's definitely a lot of arguments. So,
yep.
We're agreeing that he's a top 10. He could not run. He could not route run. He could catch semi-well. But you know what he did really well? He blocked really well.
He blocked good.
So that means that there are 2 skills a tight end can have. That means you can be really, really good at catching, right? Like Travis Kelce, right? Who, again, is top 5 of all. Like, we're comparing apples to oranges, but
yes.
If he didn't have the blocking ability and he was just the catcher he is, he would still be a top 10 tight end, right? So taking away his blocking ability, he would still be a top 10 tight end.
I think you have to block as a tight end. If you can't block as a tight end, you are not a tight end in the NFL. Granted, maybe there's some, ability, like, he's...
So I'm going to bring up Gronkowski. I don't think Gronkowski was a great blocker up until the last 3 years of his career.
He's a strong dude.
Strong.
Blocking ability, I don't know about, but...
Well, that's my point, right? So you can be a good blocker, right? You can be a great blocker, or you can be a good catcher. If you're both of them, you're an elite 5, right? We already talked about it, right? I mean, you got to talk about Mark Andrews, right? You got to talk about those kind of guys who are all at the cusp of being great, but they're not great. I mean, they're great, but they're not elite, right? Mark Andrews is a great tight end. He's not better than Travis Kelce. He's not better than Zach. I mean, he's just not, right? Zach Ertz is another one. All of them are really, really good at one thing, and they lack the other. But they're really, really, really good at that one thing. That means there are 2 skills they can be good at to be considered maybe not elite, but great, right? 2 skills. We already talked about that there are 2 skills that a tight end can be great at. It is the only position that you can be great at either one and be a great tight end, right? Because if a right,
very versatile position. It's
right.
A great position.
So do you think that there are more people who can catch, just straight catch, or do you think there are more people who can catch or block?
I know where you're going with this. I'm going to stop you. I think every single tight end we've talked about right now is good at blocking. Granted, some are much better at blocking. But I think every single one of those tight ends we named are good at blocking. They're good at playing on the line. They have great speed, great hands. All the skills, all the tools.
I don't know if I agree with that. Right? Again, I'm actually going to use Zach Ertz. Zach Ertz is incredibly fast. Now, I will say the thing that sets him apart is he is a better route runner than a lot of those guys on that list, right? He is a decent route runner. Great? No, right? But good enough. But you also got to remember, being a tight end, because we're talking about skill, right? Being tall isn't a skill.
Correct.
So you got to assume, right? Because aside from, which is a hilarious story, because Cheyenne was like, that's their quarterback when Kyle Murray was playing the other day. She was like, the guy's shorter than Tyler. And I was like, yeah, I mean, the guy's tiny and everybody criticized him for it, but he did well up until this year. I mean, realistically, right? But every tight end is going to be tall. So that's not a skill, right? And you have to be in shape to be in the NFL. There's no doubt about that. Yes, that is a skill, but that's every position, right? You have to be in shape.
So hold on. No. Let's just compare attributes you need. No, not even attributes. Let's compare what you have to do in your position.
Sure, but that's not a skill, right? Being big isn't a skill. So
no, it's not a skill. It's not a skill.
Okay.
having is speed a skill?
More so than being tall.
Okay. So we'll put speed.
Yep.
Equally important for both. Well, I wouldn't even say equally important. I'd give you the edge on more important to have more speed as a corner.
Absolutely. I agree.
But you gotta have speed. If you're not fast, then you're not playing the tight end position because you gotta be able to run routes.
All right, timeout, because now we got a problem. Everybody in the NFL has to be fast for their size. Position doesn't matter, right? To be a running back, you have to be fast for your size, right? Whether that's if you're small, you have to be faster than the big guys. If you're big, you have to be fast for your size. That's true. It doesn't matter, right? Wide receiver, that's all about speed, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So we're not going to use that.
We can throw out speed. Let's just throw out speed.
Okay. So
you gotta be fast. You're not fast. You're not
in the NFL. Right. Correct. Exactly. Yeah. Okay. I don't care if you're a lineman. If you're not fast, you're not for your size, right? Now, obviously, the lineman's not going to be as fast as the wide receiver. That's just not how that game works. But you've got to have speed for your size.
So we got catching, right? Gotta have catching ability.
I don't think Zach Ertz is that great of a catcher, and we just put him in our top. I mean, I don't know. I mean, he's good.
He's got reception numbers. He's got yards. He's got touchdowns. He can catch the ball.
Okay. All right. Okay, he can catch the ball.
All right.
So wait, because we're gonna argue, right? Back your point versus mine, right?
Yeah.
I think a cornerback has to be able to catch the ball more than a tight end. It is more important for that cornerback to be able to catch the ball more so than the tight end.
I would argue that. And the reason I would argue it is because I think you can be a very serviceable cornerback that doesn't have great hands. They'll get in there and break up the pass. They'll get in between the wide receivers' hands, break up the pass. You got to know when to use your hands and when to go for the tackle, right? So
you got
catching ability, create turnovers, yeah, for sure. But do you need it? I don't think you need it.
So if we're talking about great to great, if we're talking about great to great, it is more important. I'm going to say everything from ranking number 5 in the world for tight end. That's an Amazon package. Can you go grab that? From everything ranking from, let's say 7. Okay, say 7, because we already said that top 7 is you have to be something special to be a top 7 of all time, and it's not even close. So let's go 7 to about 20. Okay, 7 to about 20 when we're talking about this, because we're also talking about great, not game changing. Okay, just want to make sure that we're on the same page. You will never be a top 7 cornerback, top 7 to top 15 of all time without being able to catch better than a tight end. Ever. You will, because
I agree.
Because cornerback is based off of your. I mean, think about it, right? Let's use last year as an example. Diggs gave up a shit ton of yards, but he was considered the best cornerback in the league because of his pick ratio.
Yeah.
And I am guilty of that, right? I think it's called the bend don't break defense. You know that. I know that. That's just what it is. It's fine. Did everything go okay?
Yeah, it was just slow.
It is 100% okay. 100% okay to give up 60 yards in a game if you get that pick at the 61st yard line. As long as they don't get in that end zone or they don't get that field goal, depending on what you need, that's okay.
The ability to create turnovers is a plus. Yes, I agree.
And I don't think without being able to have that ability, right? To be able to have that ability is a thing in itself because it requires speed, it requires catching, it requires some of the most mentally tough position in the game, right? Because think about it. How many times did we yell at Diggs last year for not finishing the play, right? We have never blamed a loss on a tight end. Actually, I don't think we've ever blamed a loss on a tight end. In fact, Travis Kelce, who straight dropped the ball into someone's hands this week, who we consider arguably top 3 tight end of all time. I have him in my top 3 for sure. Caused a turnover, and guess what kind of shit he got? Now, granted, they did win the game. They did win the game to a team that they were supposed to be, plus 400 odds against? I don't know. I don't know. I don't know.
Tight ends can fumble. They can, cause the QB to throw a pick if it gets batted off their hands and lands in a corner's hand, safety's hand, whatever. But
let me ask you this: if this will settle my whole point, I think you'll be a believer after this, and then I'll. Can a tight end, if something happens where the tight end loses the game, right? Like, let's say that Travis Kelce play. That Travis Kelce play would have been the last play of the game, and the Chiefs lost because of that. Okay? Let's just say that for a minute. Would you have blamed... Now, you maybe, as a general public, would we have blamed Travis Kelce for that? Or somehow do you think we would have blamed Mahomes?
General, it'd be Kelce.
Oh, I don't know if I agree with that.
But I think you win as a team, you lose as a team.
Sure, I agree with that, right?
Yeah.
I think Mahomes, they would have said, and now Mahomes is the Steph Curry of the league right now, right? Everybody loves Patrick Mahomes, right? I think everybody's kind of cheering for him because football is much different than basketball, right? People cheer for greatness in the football most of the time until you become a team or a guy who's winning like Tom Brady, right?
Yep.
People want to see records being broken. It's not like basketball where, okay, you dunked the ball, people don't get as excited about it, and that's why it took me a long time to really appreciate LeBron. Now, I guess I have a better example, and it's not going to be the tight end, right? It's going to kind of prove that it all falls on the quarterback. So bear with me while I go through this rabbit hole that we're about to go through. Aaron Rodgers, when he threw those, 2 Hail Marys in the back-to-back games, one against the Lions and whoever it was, and me and you have had this discussion. I don't think it was that impressive on Aaron Rodgers. Yes, he threw the ball far, right? That we already established that is a basic requirement of the NFL to be a quarterback.
I agree. I think he passes it much further than the majority of the NFL.
Yeah. But
yeah, you got to throw the ball far.
You got to throw the ball real far.
Good.
The receiver went up to get that. Sure, Aaron Rodgers gets 20% of the credit for being able to go down there, right? To get it down there, but I can name more than probably 8 quarterbacks who could have thrown it that far now, right? Jared Allen can definitely throw it that far. There's no doubt in my mind. Patrick Mahomes can definitely throw that far. Brady in his prime could throw that far, right?
Yep. I think Brady right now.
I think Brady right now could throw that far. I still think Rodgers could throw that far, right?
Yep.
I do not think in that situation too many other wide receivers would have went up and got that ball. And here's what I promise you. This is my promise to you. If you had a top 7 to top whatever number we were talking about,
15, yeah.
cornerback, that ball would not have been caught. And here's the thing. Aaron Rodgers got all the credit for it, right? Because he's the quarterback, right? They're just the way the cookie crumbles. If that defensive player would have caught that ball, or if it would have been now again, remember, this is against the Lions. Against the Lions, right? And I know it was 10 years ago, something like that, or 7 years ago, whatever it was. I get that. The Lions have not had a top 7 to 15, hell, a top 7 to top 30 cornerback. Had that cornerback been in there, it would have all been about how he got mossed. Guaranteed. It would have been on Rodgers making the throw, nothing on the wide receiver making the catch, and the cornerback not being able to knock it down or make a play. Those three things would have happened, guaranteed. Guaranteed. Now, right? And in fact, wasn't it the tight end who the ball hit off his helmet and caused a pick this week? Wasn't that the tight end? I could be wrong, but I haven't heard anything about the tight end dropping a pass that could have been a touchdown. All I've heard is how Aaron Rodgers threw three picks, but threw that pick in the end zone to force a turnover. Not once did that tight end get brought up on a play that was clearly game-changing. To this day, all we hear about is Aaron Rodgers threw 3 picks. You know why? Because nobody cares about the tight end position like that. It's not, yes, it is important. It is probably more important than I'm making it out to seem. I'll give you that. But there is no way I am taking a top 7 to 15 tight end over a top... I'll tell you this. I would take a top, of all time, top 20 cornerback over a top 10 tight end. It shuts down one whole half of the field.
I agree with you. But the question was, which requires the most skill? Now, tight ends.
I think mental toughness is a skill.
They got to block. They got to catch.
Some do, some don't. Some do, some don't, though.
Well, I argue you have to catch if you're a tight end. If you're blocking tight ends, you're not considered, elite. Do they have okay hands? Sure, whatever.
Hold on.
But what does a corner do, right? They run. That's it. Tight ends, they have to do it all on the field. They're playing as a lineman. They're playing as a wide receiver.
Oh, come on. You've got to be kidding.
The ability set that they have to get to the NFL, they got to be good at blocking. They got to be good at running. They got to be good at catching. They got to be good everywhere. A corner, got to be fast. Got to have good hands.
As I'm looking this stat up, to be completely honest with you, I'm thinking about a tight end who you're going to think, wow, he got me. Dallas Clark was another top 7, I think. Not top 7, but he was up there.
Well, yeah, he's up there.
He's up there. You ready for this?
What
about your boy from Seattle who came to the Packers? What about your boy who came from... I mean, think about that, right? He was... Jermichael Finley's also up there. As I'm kind of going through these, I'm kind of like... Yeah, but I don't think he was top 7. But... I mean, think about your boy from Seattle. Or Charles Clay. Charles Clay from Miami, he had... he was really good. Right? This is what they're saying about... I'm going to use Charles. I was looking for... this is what I have. And this is a ranking system. And I'm not going to argue... It's Bleacher Report, so I'm not going to argue the valid of what they're trying to say here. But Charles Clay. His blocking. Right? One of the things you said he needs, and we just agreed how good he was... Probably top 20. Close. Yeah. 3 out of 10 on blocking. Clay came into the league as a fullback, so he is obviously more comfortable blocking on the move. He excels at getting into a level and struggles at blocking in the lineup. That is a 3 out of 10, and he's a top 20.
That's different. He started as a fullback.
Okay, let's talk about Zach Ertz. They're giving Zach Ertz a 4 out of 10.
Okay,
You want
talk about that?
You want to talk about Tony Gonzalez, who's arguably one of the best of all time?
Yeah.
He literally has a 1 out of 10 for rushing downs. He cannot block for the life of him, and he is a top. I mean, he's up there.
Yeah, I agree.
So far, all these top... Marquez Bennett, he's a 3 out of 10 on blocking. Greg Olsen, 3 out of 10. They're Jordan Cameron, 2 out of 10.
Their offensive numbers are incredible.
Well, that's what I'm saying. So to be considered great, you don't need to be good at both. Which means
That's where they're the difference maker, though. That particular individual, that's where he's the difference maker.
Sure, but we're not talking about 1 through 7, right? We're talking about 7 through... These are all guys that they're ranking in the top... I mean, even Rob Gronkowski only got a 5 out of 10, which I think is a little bit low. But I mentioned that in the earlier. I said Rob Gronkowski in his later years was a solid blocker, which is exactly what they're saying here. And I just pulled this web page up. He does have a 30 out of 30 on his route running, which I said, right? You can be a really good route runner as a tight end. In fact, I'm going to go to Jimmy Graham. He is literally, for points. Now, I'm not saying he's the best tight end. I want to make it very clear for all the viewers. I have no way in shape or form saying he's the best tight end. He is definitely probably top 20 in his prime. Probably top 20 in his prime. For blocking, they are giving him a 4 out of 10. There is not one, and they have him as the best points tight end on this list.
As in what, like best overall? Is that basically what it's saying?
Yeah, I mean, if
you like put all of his skill sets and ranked them all and added them all together, they're saying he's the best.
Yeah, so he's got a 40 out of 40 on hands. He's got a 4 out of 10 on blocking. Terrible stat. He's got a 30 out of 30 on route running. He's got a 19 out of 20 on speed, which gives him a 93 out of 100.
Yeah. Kind of weird, but
yeah, it's a weird, right? That's why I'm saying I'm not going to argue the fact that this report is valid in their numbers.
Yeah.
But I mean, one thing we can say is he's definitely in his prime. He was a top tight end in the league. Jimmy Graham was a top tight end in the league when he was at his prime.
Yep.
And to be completely fair, he had only 6 drops on 136 targets in 2013. I didn't even know that stat. This man out here dropping nothing.
Yeah.
And he is considered, and I'm assuming in 2013 he was considered the best tight end in the game. You have to assume that, right? I don't know when this report was made. And here's the other thing. In 2012, he was leading all tight ends in drops, which means that he probably wasn't considered a top tight end. And then all of a sudden he started to catch the ball. And because of one good year, he went to being the best tight end in the league. There's no way. I'll tell you this, okay? For me right now, if I wanted to really take a shot at the NFL, and I'm not saying I could, I do believe I could have, but now I don't think I could. I'm out of shape. If I had a shot to go and try out for a team, tight end would be the position I think I could do the best.
Really?
I think I could, absolutely. Other than maybe middle linebacker, but I truly believe that tight end, I can catch the ball like no other, right? I've got some speed. You've seen that. I'm very strong. I can push over, I don't know if I could push over anybody in the NFL, but I don't think that I get tramp stamped.
Why not a fullback?
Because if I'm going to play a position that matters.
I mean, yeah.
Fullbacks aren't used anymore, not like they used to be, at least. I mean, they're just not. I mean, I can't think of one.
Did you see the Ravens game yesterday? They were talking about how the Ravens use fullbacks more than any other team.
Yeah, exactly. And who's the fullback on the Ravens?
Oh God, they have 2, I think.
Name one of them.
Oh,
that's my point, right? So they use it more than anybody, and you can't name the player. And you watch the Ravens.
Yep.
That's what tight end, right? Now, I also would challenge you if you could name more than 5 tight ends in the league. I would challenge you if you could name more than I'd say 5. Like, consistently, right? Every year.
Probably name 5.
You could, but it'd be close, right? Now, how many cornerbacks could you name?
Corners?
Yeah. You know why? Because that position.
Well, they don't get talked about. What?
Why? Yeah. Why don't they get talked about more, Connor? Why? Because they're not game changing. They're not game changing most of the time. No. Tight ends.
Oh. No, I can name a lot of tight ends
in the league right now. You think you could name more than 5?
I think I could.
Do you think you could name? I would bet you, if you really gave it your all, you could name 2 times the amount of cornerbacks in the league than you could tight ends.
I don't know if I could. Not off the top of my head, for sure. I think I correlate it with fantasy football, though. I'm not picking corners in fantasy football. I'm picking tight ends. So I know a lot of tight ends.
So that's a good point. You know what, Connor? I'm going to give you a little point. That was a point. That was a check mark. That was a point. That was a point. Because I don't think
they don't get talked about. Corners don't get talked about as they should.
I think that's because the position is harder to play. There's less elite corners. True elite corners. Right?
Yeah.
Think about it, right? Mark Andrews. If someone played like Mark Andrews on the cornerback position, we would never talk about him. But because he's a tight end, right? And he can make some big catches, right? Because tight ends that's what tight ends are for, right? Other than Travis Kelce, Tony Gonzalez, other than those guys, right? A tight end is literally going to get you that 3rd and 5, that 3rd and 6 spot. That's what they're for.
Fantastic in the red zone, too. Right on the goal line?
Yeah. Uh-huh. Well, I mean, that's how, whatchamacallit, isn't it? That's how Brady put it away? Put it to his tight end, and his tight end was a little dink and dunk, and he just crossed the line for the touchdown at, last 16 seconds of the game? I agree with you. I guess I'm not saying they're useless, but I'm saying that if I had to pick a player who is going to go out and be a game changer, if you're taking out Travis Kelce, and the only reason I think Travis Kelce is so good is because of the chemistry he has with Mahomes. Mahomes had to trust Kelce this game, and you could see it when he struggled, and that's why they struggled against this game. Yes, Juju Smith-Schuster is great. Not going to deny that. But you saw the game point turning when Mahomes realized he could not just go to Travis Kelce. Because Mahomes was useless because of the connection. Not because Travis Kelce is some god, right? Yes, he's good, right? He's top 5 of all time. Mahomes' passing ability mixed in with Travis Kelce being great at hands, right? He can also block. He is that anomaly that can do everything, right? It's why he's considered a top 3 of all time. If not top 1 in some people's eyes, right? I mean, I think we got to start having that conversation. He wins another Super Bowl that he might be the greatest tight end of all time. If he's impactful, right? I mean, if he's not, then it's not. But they're not going to win a Super Bowl if he's not impactful. It's just not going to happen.
Yeah.
With that being said, I would pick... So... Alexander also gets a lot. I mean, you see when he misses a play, people are pissed. Right?
Yeah.
Now, he brings that on himself, though, too, right? He's very much like me in that way. He talks big. He walks the walk. But when he doesn't, he gets... People let him know, hey, you didn't walk the walk. Yep. Right? That's okay with me. I'm okay with him being a talker, right? I've talked about it many times. I'm okay with someone being a talker. You know what I'm not okay with, though? Someone thinking that the tight end is the most valuable position in the game. Or the hardest skilled position in the game.
I think it is. We can move on to the next question.
Sure. Let's. Oh, they lost. That's unfortunate.
Who lost?
What was it? Some college football game. Useless. Go ahead. I'm ready for your next one.
I think we're all gonna agree on this one.
Probably.
Is video game a sport?
Oh.
Competitive video game play.
Define a sport.
Team wins, team loses. Someone wins, someone loses.
Yeah.
I guess that could be a game. Sport.
Because yes, I do believe it's a sport. I also don't know if I really...
I think we can agree the term sport has gotten pretty...
It's gotten loose, right?
It's gotten loose. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. In today's world, yes, I would consider it a sport. With how things are ran, I mean, senseless plug here, right? For those of you guys who just watched the tournament happen, I truly believe that not anybody could have walked into that tournament and played not how I played, because obviously I've been playing Madden a long time and I'm getting really, really good at it. But I don't think anyone could have walked into that tournament. I think someone plays Madden but doesn't play Madden at the highest level, it would have been 48-0, right? I think that and the guys I played weren't fantastic. I mean, there were some of them, right? There was a top 6 player in the world, but those reads don't happen, and I think that in itself is a sport. Does that make sense?
Are you saying like you playing smart was the sport aspect?
Yes, correct. Yeah. I think because I think if you put somebody in there, right? I'm not going to use who I was going to use as an example. All right, fuck it. I don't care. Josh Stark, right? I'm going to use Stark as an example. Stark can play Madden, right? He beat me when I was much, much younger. I'll admit it. He does not. I mean, the last time we played, I 21'd him. I think I actually 28'd him. I think you were there. That would never happen. He would never beat me again. And the reason why is because I've taken it to a new level and I've practiced.
Yeah. That's the big thing, right?
And that's the sport, right? I don't necessarily know if the game is the sport, but it's how it makes you feel and the effort you put into that craft, right? Because I think you put me on FIFA and I'm getting killed. I mean, I love to act like now you put me on FIFA 2004 on the GameCube with the guy with the purple jersey, I'm absolutely dominating, right? But anything past that, and the only reason is because I played that game on the GameCube more than I played any other game with my dad. I mean, I literally had it down to a T where I could kick, and it would go in. I haven't played a FIFA game, right, in a long time. Now let's talk about NBA. I play NBA way more than I play FIFA. Not as much as I play Madden, right? But way more than I play FIFA. And anybody who plays in any type of, I don't care if it's a local tournament, I don't care if it's anything, you would crush me probably by 20 points. To the point where I would get frustrated because I shouldn't be that bad at the game, right? I think there are levels to it, and I don't think everybody really understands that level to it, right? I think you see these guys playing on YouTube, and I guess I'm guilty of it a little bit more a couple years ago. Now I've gotten better at it, but I used to be really like, well, why didn't you pass to that guy? He was wide open. Well, now I can say that, right? Because I've taken that level, right? Same thing with you when you're watching Magic or Call of Duty, right? It's a little bit different because we're developed in that craft.
It's a lot easier to see it too, I think, when you're not in the game. And you're watching the game.
And I think that's the sport of it, right? I don't think that it's necessarily like a full-on sport, like...
It's the ability to see your spot and hit your shot
and you're there.
All of it.
Absolutely, I agree with that. And I think it only gets more interesting, right? I think it only gets more interesting because I think at some point, right, even if you're not playing in competitive, like truly competitive, like local tournaments, online tournaments, that kind of stuff, I still think there's a sport to it, but it's got to be something serious, right? Like I would never say I am a esports Call of Duty player. I wouldn't do that. Right? That's just for me. I don't play it enough. I play it with you once in a while. I play it in the free time, right? Now, do I consider myself a real Madden player? Absolutely. Different levels, right? I think that but I think that the term sport is so loosely used. And that doesn't mean it's necessarily a bad thing. It's just loosely used. It's just the way it is. It wouldn't shock me if video games end up in the Olympics. It wouldn't shock me at all.
I think they've even talked about it.
I think they've even talked about it, yeah. Yep. I just couldn't remember if that was like something that I read or if it was actually something that happened. It wouldn't shock me. It wouldn't shock me in the slightest. And in fact, I kind of expect it eventually, right? Because I think at some point...
Yeah, when do you think it'll happen?
Oh, man.
20 years?
No.
Within 20 years?
Within 20 years. Within 20 years. Yeah.
Within 14 years?
I think we'll see it within. I think we'll see it within 3 more Olympics. 3 more, right? Which is what, 12 years. That's my opinion. I think we'll see something of it. Now, I think it'll be fully implemented, or I don't know. We'll see traces of it in the league. We'll see it somehow. Now, do I know what it'll be? I don't know.
Tough then too is, where do you put it in the Olympics? Do you put it in the Summer Olympics or do you put it in the Winter Olympics? I don't think any sport is in both seasons.
I don't think so either.
Could it be in both? I don't think there's a rule against it.
So I guess
you want to see it in both.
So I guess what it would matter is what game you're playing, right? I think video game will be in both, but I think like if you're playing, you know what I mean? I mean it'll be in both, but it'll be what you're playing. And I think for first person shooters, they'll have to come up with something. That's my opinion.
Okay, that makes sense.
And I think it'll be a huge turning point for the world, because I think people will be pissed off, and then they'll start to actually realize how far video games have come. But I also think that we're missing a huge part of gaming, right? Gaming is fantastic, right? I think a lot of people game. I think there's a lot of people who hate on gaming, but I think there's obviously a majority of people play some type of game, especially,
mobile gaming.
Yeah, like
on everyone's phones.
Yeah.
I think you'd be hard pressed to find someone who didn't have a game on their phone.
Yeah, I think it would. I bet it would be.
I have them installed on my phone. I don't really play them, but I probably have more than 5.
Oh yeah, I've got a shit ton of games. I don't play many. I play Call of Duty Mobile. That's it. And we've had that conversation.
Yeah.
I think gaming has become because our attention spans have gotten smaller, right? Back in, I want to say it was 5th grade, I had a teacher, Mr. Grimmeiser, one of my favorite teachers of all time. If for some god-awful reason somehow he sees this, man, I still have my speedball that I won in that 5th grade contest. Packers ball, beat to hell, but I do still have it. He used to say, my job isn't to get you to really learn something, right? And I know it's going to sound crazy. All his job is to get my attention span from, I think he said literally from a minute to 5 minutes. That was what his job was. And you think about it, and that's true, right? Because why do we not learn something? Why do we not grasp an idea? It's because our attention spans are wandering at 100 miles an hour, right? If we focused on it for 5-10 minutes straight, we would learn it, right? That's just the way the cookie crumbles. But our attention spans don't let us do that. With the way mobile gaming is now, to be completely honest, today we got the new Razer things in at work, and they connect to your phone and they go like this. And I'm not a big fan of the Razer one. I originally ordered the PlayStation one and I canceled the order, and I may order it again. The reason I didn't like the Razer one is it doesn't work with Call of Duty. Call of Duty only is Bluetooth, and it's the only way it would be. Because I'll tell you what, and you guys can fact check me. I can show you guys stats. I do not lose in mobile Call of Duty like the Battle Royale thing. In fact, I've talked to Connor about this before, that I've sat in bed and won 5, 6, 7, 8 in a row. I actually can't remember the last time I've lost, to be honest with you. Not taken first. And that's me I'm being dead. I don't know if there's a stat I can show. I don't know any of that. But I have not lost that game in a long time. Battle Royale, that's it. Teams, different. I haven't played teams in a while, but Battle Royale I will always win. But I am, and Connor will attest to this, I am pretty much garbage at Call of Duty on the console. So I don't know what the difference is, right? But I can only do 2 or 3 matches on Call of Duty now before I start to be like, all right, I got to do something else, right?
Yeah, and I think they're adding modes. They're trying to help people with the gun camo grinding, the attachment grinding. They added a whole system to get people more interested, because it's small milestones throughout the game that you get, and that's what people want. I think more people are going to be playing this multiplayer than any other Call of Duty multiplayer.
Probably. I would, and I hope so, right? I don't wish for a game to fail. I think mobile gaming is going to... I mean, think about it, right? With that backbone controller, you can play your PS5 on your phone.
Yep.
That's something that's unbelievable to me. You can play a $500 top-of-the-line system to your phone when you're on the bus to go to school, when you're at work on your lunch break, when you're decompressing, when you're sitting outside your house in your car. You can play it, right? I can play it right now while I'm on here with you, and you would have no idea because my phone's down here and I'm looking up here. You would have no idea, right? So I think that there's something to be said about mobile gaming. I don't understand the appeal, but I'm also not a normal gamer, right? I mean, I go all the way back to Atari. You're also not a normal gamer. We spend more time on average gaming a week than we probably do watching TV, which I'm not hating on. I'm not knocking, but
That's our hobby.
That's our hobby. That's our thing. So is it fair for us to judge the mobile gaming? No, I don't care what people play. In fact, on TikTok, I watched this guy, and I would shout him out if I knew. I can't remember his name. He plays Fortnite competitively on a tablet. On a tablet.
Wow.
Competitively.
Crazy.
And the thing he can do, for those of you guys who don't know, my son is a very avid Fortnite player. Very, very good. Very good. He's 8 years old, and the kid's just phenomenal at Fortnite.
Could you imagine him playing Fortnite in the Olympics someday? What a concept, right?
So I know everyone says their kids are really good at things. When I tell you guys, right, that my son is phenomenal at Fortnite.
Amazing.
Like, and Connor's played with him. I mean, my son also has a lot of me in him, so he trash talks a lot, which I love. He is not afraid to tell Connor he's garbage. And Connor's good at Fortnite. But the kid is 8 years old. And before he got into Fortnite, I never even had Fortnite really. I mean, maybe I downloaded it when it was hype, but I don't think I ever played more than 5 matches. The kid wins 5 matches in a row. I mean, the kid's fantastic. And then he gets mad at himself if he's not top 2 or top 3. So to see him in the Olympics, he has to stick with it. I guess that's what I'm saying. He has to stick with it, right? Because right now his attention span is he's understanding how cool Dad's game room is sometimes, right? I constantly see him looking at other games. I constantly see him. He downloaded the new Turtles game on his PlayStation 5, and I'm not saying it's bad to have other games, but or play other games, but the skill he has at his age for a Fortnite 8-year-old. It's just amazing to me, and I can only see him getting better, but that's only if he sticks better, right? Just like LeBron. LeBron would not be LeBron if he wouldn't have practiced when he was 10 years old.
Yeah.
I mean, he just wouldn't have, right? So if he goes and makes the switch to Minecraft, will I be happy for him? Yeah, because I want him to be happy. I want him to play what he wants to play, and but his level in Fortnite is going to be through the roof. And I think to see that in the Olympics in itself would be a win. But I think there's a lot of other things that we have to see in the Olympics before we see mobile gaming, or before we see video games. Now, do I agree with that? No. We all know how I feel about sports or things or competitions or whatever you want to call it, that you can't have a decisive winner, right? I'm going to use gymnastics, right? I'm going to piss a lot of people off here. Gymnastics is 100% a sport. Not going to deny that. But it is much harder to judge than it is to judge a race. Fortnite, right? All of those things. So I think until we get like cheerleading and we get like true things like that in the Olympics, it's really hard to say that mobile gaming will be, or not mobile gaming, but gaming in general will be in there. Because I think we're on the cusp of it. But I also think that there's things that aren't in the Olympics that people would rather have in the Olympics.
I think so. I think they've even talked about cutting sports from the Olympics to make room for other sports.
Yeah. I mean, that makes sense, right? I mean, what's eventually going to happen is we're going to go to a rotating system. That's what's going to happen. Fortunate or unfortunate, it doesn't really matter. Eventually, we're going to go to a rotating system because there's going to be too much, right? Because, I mean, there's going to be other sports that... There's going to be new things that come up with, right? I mean, there's going to be new... There's going to be new... I mean, there's a lot of things that are going to come in. I mean, I'll be honest with you. I'll be shocked if I don't see something like spike ball or board ball in the Olympics or something like that. Maybe not that exact game, but something like that in the future. I'd be shocked.
Yeah, I mean, in 200 years, think about it. There might have been a game created and added to the Olympics.
Yeah. Yeah, 100%, right?
Out of nowhere. And possibilities are endless. I mean, you could see anything in the future being in the Olympics.
So I'm going to get a lot of laughs
sport.
about this, but I'm going to bring it up because we're talking about made-up sports, right? So there's 2 points, and then then I'll forego what. There's 2 big points or 2 big things. One is the movie Basketball. I'm sure you've seen that movie. If you haven't, you need to go watch it, Connor. Like even more so than Monkey Bone, which I know you haven't watched yet.
Nope.
You haven't seen Basketball?
Let me look it up.
Oh, that's a great movie. Oh my God, that's a great movie. It's from the Matt Stone. If you haven't seen that movie, you've got to go watch it. Like we might even have to end this podcast. It's phenomenal. It is phenomenal. The fact that you have
some of these screenshots look familiar.
Oh my God, you got to watch that. You got to watch that. It's phenomenal. Basically, it's about a couple of guys who basically, and it touches on sports a lot. It's a sports movie, but it's not really a sports movie. It's about some guys who basically make up this game, and it becomes a phenomenon. And they're talking about like, should it be? They basically take all of the money out of sports and they play these sports, and where you can't really like trade people. You don't. It's just your team. It just is what it is, and the producers are what the producers are. I mean, you know what you're getting with it, right? You need to watch that movie. Actually, you need to write that down. I'm going to send that to you in a text message. You need to watch that movie. You and Ryan need to watch that movie if you haven't seen it. Phenomenal movie. But I think that kind of thing could happen. And now it doesn't matter because you haven't seen the movie, so we can't argue about it. But I do think that could happen. You got to watch that before next week because I want to bring this back up. In fact, I'm going to write this down because we're going to do this every week. We got to talk about it. We got to talk about that. So you got to watch that.
It looks good.
Yeah, you got to watch that. I forgot what my other point was because now I can't believe that you haven't watched Basketball. Phenomenal movie, by the way.
1998.
Yeah, and it still holds up. There is nothing about that movie that I would think is 1998. There's not anything from that movie. Other than... like... It's I cannot believe you haven't seen that movie. Actually, you need to watch that tonight. If you don't, I'll be disappointed. Anyway, needless to say, that's all I got for that. What else you got for me on that one? What else you got for me? Because I'm disappointed that you haven't seen that movie now. I can't even talk to you about sport movies now because the fact that you haven't seen Basketball.
It is a great movie.
It's not even a sport yet. Is it a sports movie? If it's not a sport,
they make it a sport. They make up their own game. You know how like when we were kids, you used to make up games.
Yeah,
it's like that. It basically puts basketball and baseball together. It is, even Cheyenne's in the background. You can't see her because it's blurred, but she's shaking her head like, you got to watch this movie. Phenomenal movie. It's funny. What you do need to do is
I need to watch the movie.
Yeah, you got to take your vitamins and watch the movie. That's what you got to do.
There we go.
Phenomenal.
Perfect.
Yeah. What else you got? I can't talk to you about this sport. I can't talk about movies now. The fact that you haven't seen that is mind blowing to me. Leave a comment down below, guys. Basketball. What do you think?
So I think we both agree that video games are a sport.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
All right. We solved it. You want to go over some tier lists?
We can go over some tier lists.
Okay. Tier list Tuesday. Here we go.
I'm gonna write this down because I won't remember otherwise. To be completely honest.
Let's go with this one.
Which one? Oh, we can even pull it up here. Oh, that's nice, and it'll show on here. That's nice.
Wait, don't look yet. Don't look. All right, hold on.
I have to hit watch stream.
I didn't. Oh, okay, perfect.
There we go. Oh, perfect. I don't know where you got this from, but this is amazing. I love these. Okay. Yeah.
So the one rule I was thinking about when we were going to make the tier list,
Yeah.
I was like, what should we do? How should we discuss it? Should we have the same tier list, but we both rank them separately? I think what would be more fun is we have to agree on this list.
Okay. We can do that.
Because then we can argue about it more.
Yeah.
We're gonna go one by one.
Yeah, I'm with that. Okay. All right. Hold on.
Are you ready for this?
I'm not. I need to get my pencil because I'll have to also because it's going to depend on games, obviously, right? Gaming is a huge. The hardware is great, but it's going to depend on the games that came out for that system.
No, this list right here is ranking the controllers for the systems.
Oh, this is even easier. Okay, that's fine.
Right.
I can get behind that.
Okay.
So let me ask you this. Okay, there's two questions I have before we get on this, and I want to make this on the record.
Yeah, we gotta set the rules and everything.
Yeah. So first, are we talking about the controller now, or are we talking about the controller at the time?
That is a good question.
Because and then are we talking about first party controllers only?
I would say during the time it came out.
Okay.
If
I like
you
that.
had to rank it like out of 100, right? Like let's say the NES controller for me, out of 100, that's like a 20 or something like that.
Sure. Okay.
So the scale is big, right? 0 to 100.
Okay.
Or the time that it came out.
Okay, time it came out. What about third-party controllers?
I will say no.
Okay, because I'm looking at a controller right now that is my favorite controller of all time in third-party view, and I'll bring it up when we get to that controller.
Okay.
I'll bring it up when we get to that controller. In fact, if I can find a picture, maybe I'll even show it. In fact, I'm going to order one off of eBay just to have one, and it's pointless because we'll go over with why. Okay, we can start whenever you're ready. You start with what you think.
Right. Switch Pro controller. Where are we ranking this? My initial thought right here.
That's literally what I was thinking. To be completely honest with you,
right.
I was thinking because we're gonna we'll arrange this tier right as we go.
We can always reorganize it to
based on what it is.
Mid-decide on these, right?
Yes,
I think right there B is a good spot.
B is a good spot. Did you find these images or did they pop up?
This is someone's tier. They like made this.
Okay.
You can make your own with custom images.
But you can also use a bunch of other ones.
And you can edit these. You can add more rows.
Okay.
You can
I'm gonna have to write this website down because this is perfect. Okay.
Oh yeah. Next one is the Xbox.
That's an A.
Controller? That's an A.
I think so. The only reason
I'm at an A.
It could also go B. It could go B, but it would be in front of the Switch controller. Like right there. I would be okay with B, but it has to go in front of the Switch controller.
I like that.
Because it definitely is... the Switch controller is fantastic. I think it's made a little cheaper than the Xbox controller is, to be fair.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah.
We like that spot.
I like that spot for now.
Super Nintendo controller. Well, when it came out, this is a tough one.
So, I initially want to say C.
I as well. It's the tough part about rating this one is what are you comparing it to?
Correct.
I mean, you're comparing it to. Was it excellent at the time it came out? Yeah.
Yeah, but you're comparing. I mean,
but controllers really aren't that great in general.
Right. So what I'm gonna say is I do think I would put it above the NES controller. right? So if we're gonna put NES at C or D, I'm cool with it. If we're not, then okay.
I'm thinking NES. We could just go right here.
Okay, I'm okay with that. Yeah, I'm okay with that. Yeah, I'm good with that.
PS3 controller. This controller got a lot of shit.
Yeah,
I actually think it's okay.
I don't think it's terrible. I would say C right after SNES.
It's right here, right after it.
Yeah.
SNES.
Yeah.
I agree with that.
Okay.
I agree with that. It's either way back of the B's, or it's somewhere in this area.
Yeah, absolutely.
Which is, Wii U controller. I don't get a vote here. I have never used this.
So the Wii controller, I'm going to put above the SNES controller at C. The design is a little clunky, slightly clunky, but it worked, and the battery life was fantastic for the time. Battery life was fantastic. I think it was 40 hours plus.
Okay.
The charger port was terrible, but you can't base it on the charger port because we're talking about it at the time, and at the time the charger port was what it was. So I would say it was a good controller.
Okay. Xbox 360 controller. When it came out, I kind of liked it.
I did too. I would say you have to put it right by the Xbox. I'm not going S tier. I mean, you can put it right in front of the Switch controller, right after. It's all the same. I mean, it's realistically, it's all the same, right? I mean,
it's a tough one. I think when the time it came out, I think it's right there.
Yeah, I'm good with that.
Okay.
I'm good with that. I do think we should skip that controller for right now. That one that you're going to do next, because I have a lot of opinions about it.
I'm gonna skip right here. Our first A.
So this is one of the controllers I was talking about. Well, there's two third-party controllers. Not really third-party. There's one third-party controller I'm talking about, which is why I can't give this an S tier. I might not even be able to give it an A tier, to be honest with you. We might have to have this battle. Here's why. The microcontroller, so much better.
Ooh.
Hold on. I had blue.
I'd have to see one of these. I don't know if I've seen one of these before.
I'm doing it right now. It was made by Mad Cats. They were $19.99.
Oh God.
They also made black, I guess. I will not be buying a black one. I will be buying an orange and blue one eventually. They looked just like this though. But normally they were clear. I want to make it clear. They were normally clear. I don't know if you'll be able to see that.
I had that exact controller.
Yes. Love that controller.
Fucking sucks.
No. It was the best controller of all time. This is an S tier.
The A button got stuck inside the fucking thing. Those grippy handles on the side sucked. They're awful.
Nope.
They're hard plastic. Why even have a grip then if it's still gonna feel like shit? Like
no. This is the best control. This is an S tier controller. This is an S tier controller right here.
No. The one with the fans in it, that's an S tier controller.
I don't even know what that is, but that is
Wavebird. That might be up there.
Wavebird is an S tier. Wavebird is an S tier as well. Wavebird I put ahead because it was wireless at the time, but this is S tier controller, my guy. This is arguably the best controller of all time.
I had a GameCube controller that had sweat fans in the handles.
Oh, that's really cool.
That was better than that.
No. This controller, I would give up my first party controller when me and my grandma used to play Mario Party. Swear to God, I had an orange one and a blue one. In fact, if they were online right now, I'd be buying them because I've had them in my cart forever.
I remember seeing the orange one. The orange one looked really cool. I only got the black one though.
Yeah, so I had the orange one and I had the blue one. That's what I had, and they were tiny. And my hands aren't. I have baby hands, right? I mean, my hands aren't huge. And this was what every year the GameCube came out. Love that controller. You will never. We would fight. We would be here. I'm kind of glad that you said no third party controllers because we'd be here all night.
I think it's S.
Okay.
You can make the argument that it's maybe better or maybe worse.
We can put it at S. I'll put it at S.
The GameCube controller?
Yeah, I'll put it at S.
I think it's a solid A.
Okay.
We'll skip that one. We'll go to PS4.
Yeah, so that's either a really laid back B tier or it's a C tier. There's no there's
the sound in the controller.
Yep.
There's a microphone too, I think.
I
I don't remember exactly. And the first touchpad we had on the controller.
Then the touchpad was useless. It's still useless.
Well, yeah.
It's still useless. There's nothing that you do with a touch controller. There's nothing you do with it. Yes, innovative, but unless you're going to give the Wii an S tier for being innovative, you can't give it to... I'm okay with there or first at C.
That's tough. This is one that we might have to arrange because I completely agree with that, and my first thought was back of B.
Okay, I'm good with that for now.
So eventually it may move to a C.
Yeah, yep.
This is tough. PS2 controller.
This is either first for D or last for C.
Time it came out.
Yeah, I never liked the PlayStation controller. I don't even really like the PlayStation 5 controller, to be completely honest.
I thought it was pretty good.
Okay. So F tier.
It's either back of B or front of C again. I think it's still competing with PS4.
No. I'd put it
right
there.
Here.
I'd put it. Nope. I would adjust that. I think that the yep. That's what. Yeah. The Wii U just because of battery life. I mean, it was wireless and battery life, and it always connected properly. And I'm gonna use it. We can switch it around after we get to the Wii U controller, and I'll tell you why. My Wii U broke, by the way. I had to buy another Wii U the other day.
Oh, sucks.
I got one for really cheap though, $100.
That's pretty good.
That's a pretty good deal. Yeah, I'm good with it there for now. I'm okay with it there. I know you want to put it ahead of that Wii U controller, but
I don't have an opinion on it. I'm taking your opinion on it.
Next time you come over, we'll have to just let you at least feel it so you understand it, because it's clunky. It is clunky, but you have the option to have two dual pads or two joysticks. Not that you use them for much for the Wii U, but that's not the controller's fault. We're not judging the system. We're just judging the controller. So you had the option to do both.
Look at how high these joysticks are placed on the controller compared to every single controller.
Yes, I agree.
That is unique. I just noticed that. That's an interesting design. And they're high up there.
They are. Absolutely, they are. Absolutely, they are.
I like this spot. I think we can agree with this spot.
Okay, we can agree with that.
This is the tough debate right here. The PS2 or the PS4 when they came out. I might say that I like the PS2 controller more.
PS2 controller more than what?
The PS4 controller.
So you're thinking about switching spots?
I said it's back of B, front of C. It's these three right here, this one and these two.
Yeah,
I think are very close in rank, anyways.
Yeah, so I agree with that.
Probably interchangeable.
Yeah, I agree with that.
We're gonna go into my least favorite controller.
Nope, that's not a D tier, my guy.
That's awful.
Nope, it's definitely at least a B tier.
Oh my god.
I will settle with it being in C tier, at the end of C tier, or the first of D tier.
I would absolutely put it at first of D tier then.
Yeah.
I despise that controller. I think when it came out, I was like, this is awful. This is not comfortable for my fingers at all. Especially the way I grip the controller. That right side with all of the yellow, what were the arrow buttons?
Yep. Normally camera angle.
I would have the first bend on my finger right underneath the plastic, underneath.
See, you hold it like this. You hold the middle one and the right one. That's what you do. Because you very rarely use that D-pad for almost anything.
Yeah. I'm not talking my left hand. I'm talking my right hand.
Yeah,
this part, the first part, it just it just wears on you after a couple hours of holding this controller. I can't hold that controller all day like I can almost any of these other controllers. I would argue that it's I could hold all of these controllers 10 times as long as I can hold that one.
But okay, so I agree with you, right? Here's the thing, though. For the games that you're playing the Nintendo 64 are, most of them, you're not holding them for 5 or 6 hours straight, right? Games aren't what they were. They're not what they are. So, for instance, right, Mario Party. I'll tell you this. I prefer playing Mario Party
On an N64 controller over what?
the Pro Controller.
Wow. Whoa. Switch Pro Controller?
Yeah. Now, that could be nostalgia-based, right? But when I need to grip this and go like this for my hand, that joystick, I have complete control of. I'm okay with where it's at because we're not basing it off of the game. We're basing it off the actual controller.
Yeah.
But 100%, I would prefer to probably play Mario Party on the Nintendo 64 controller than the Switch Pro controller.
Oh, that is something.
Now, there could be some nostalgia to that, right? Because that's how I grew up, and I played a lot of Mario Party on the Nintendo 64. It was probably my most played system, to be honest with you. Every Sunday, me and my grandma would play 50 turns of Mario Party, at least once. So, I mean, and you think about it, 50 turns back then, it's not what it is now. 50 turns back then was 5 hours?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, I mean...
It's a long game.
It's a long game, right? I mean, I think my record in Mario Party 2 is like 900 and something coins at the end. And Mario Party 2 on the Nintendo 64, where coins weren't just give-me's, right? They didn't have lucky spaces. They didn't give you coins for, like, third place, all that kind of stuff. Now it's a trophy contest. Even you can win. Okay, I can live with that.
We settled on front of D for now.
I can live with that.
We're going to go Joy-Cons.
That's top of C. While they are small, the versatility to be able to play 2 players if you need to. Not that you would want to on those controllers, but that you could play 2 players on that controller.
It's 2 controllers on each side.
Yes.
That's how impressive it is. My initial thought, right here.
I can go behind that. Yeah, I'm good with that. I think it's definitely better than... Yeah, I can go with that. Yeah. Okay. I thought you hated the Joy-Con controllers. Okay.
I think I like the Joy-Con controllers. I don't think they're super comfortable.
Yeah.
That's why I have the Pro controller ahead of it.
Yep.
Much more comfortable.
I agree.
But you got stick drift. That's annoying.
Yeah, but that's not the controller. That's how Nintendo made it, right?
The battery life isn't super great.
No, it's not. No, I agree. But I think the innovativeness is there, right? I can take my Switch without any extra bag. If you're a dirty digitally downloaded player, if you're one of those dirty sons of a bitches, this controller, you can play any of your games on the go, which is what the Switch is made for.
Yep.
So, I agree.
It also gets a negative point for connectivity. I don't think the connectivity is super great.
Yeah, I agree with that. I do think that we placed it in a right good area because I think versatility. You can put that with the little thing where it slides in, and you have a full size controller. Is it the best full size controller?
No.
Yeah, but it works. It gets the job done to play on the go. The Switch is not necessarily meant to play. You're not using Joy-Cons unless you're playing a party game or you don't have enough controllers. You're not using the Joy-Cons when you're sitting at home on your couch. You're just not. You're using the Joy-Cons in portable mode, or you're using the Joy-Cons when you don't have enough controllers, which eventually you'll have enough controllers continuously, right? I mean, it just is what it is. I think even you have 2 Pro controllers, right?
No, just one.
Just one?
Yeah.
But
I was thinking about buying either one of the cheap wireless ones. What is it? Power A. They make some good wireless controllers.
Yeah, and they're fairly cheap. So I agree with you. Absolutely. Good spot.
PS5 controller.
Uh,
I
P-
love this controller.
So I'd put it in B tier, right?
I would put it at the front of B, or I put it behind GameCube. In A.
Yeah, I think I could go behind GameCube and A. I think I could go that. I think I could go that. Originally, I was going to put it in between the Switch controllers. But when you're talking about, I mean, it has a microphone. You can literally talk to anybody you want. And that has saved me countless amount of time. So I agree. I can get behind that. I can get behind that.
The rumble features on this controller are better than any rumble on any controller.
I wouldn't know. I'd turn them off.
Oh, well, sure.
I turn them off right away. As soon as I'm like, click, I don't want that.
The adaptive triggers,
I turn that off too.
you turn it off, but if you're playing, a story mode campaign and
No, I turn that shit off.
It's a cool feature.
It is a cool feature, right? And I guess that I like that you said that because
it's only pluses for the controller.
Yes.
You can turn them off. You don't even have to use them.
Yep, and that's exactly what I was going to go with, right? Like, in my world, I would rather have a feature and just turn it off than not have the option to use that feature. So I agree with you. 100%.
Yeah.
100%. That's why everyone's like, well, we're never going to use that. I don't really give a shit if you're going to use it or not. It doesn't hurt you to have it.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I agree.
Wow. We have some controllers to choose from here.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's go with the Xbox one first. That's the easy one. That's going to go front of B tier. I mean, if you put the other Xbox... Nope, not that Xbox. That's a shit controller. That one. Yeah.
This one... Oh, okay, so you have the Xbox One controller right here, and this is what?
Right in front of it. Yeah, it's the same fucking thing.
Okay.
It's right there. I mean...
no difference.
I only like it. The only reason I'm putting it ahead and not like in the middle is simply because of that share controller. And for me, that's huge because I can take quick Snapchats or not Snapchats, quick videos like I do on the PlayStation. So that's a big deal for me. That's a huge deal. I've got a lot of opinions on these last ones coming up.
Yeah.
So this will be good.
So this is a duplicate.
That's fine.
Right here.
Yep.
We'll just not add it to the list. Let's just do PS1 controller.
Yeah, that's a definitely D tier right after.
Yeah.
Right. It's.
You want to put it here?
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
right.
Yeah.
Right here.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's tough because I despise the N64 controller.
So I guess let me think about it, right? Because I liked
this
it in
have Rumble. Oh, okay. N64 controller had Rumble too, but
you had to have the Rumble pack to get it to work. Remember, for the Nintendo, you had to have a Rumble pack, which made the controller.
That's true.
So here's the thing, right? There is no joystick or whatever you want to call it, right?
Yeah.
There's no one of those. But what games back then really needed it? I think a lot of games. So yeah, I would put it behind Nintendo 64.
The Wii Pro controller?
That is the last controller.
I have this controller.
If you don't make a whole tier called fucking failure, you're wrong.
Wow. I definitely put it top of D.
No way.
I put it
way.
Right here.
Let me tell you why. In order for that controller to work, you have to have another controller. And you have to be close to that controller.
Yep.
And not only that, it has no handle, so your thumbs are just sitting there like we're.
It's got handles. It's got handles.
Yeah, on the sides, so you're like this. You almost say I'd be better off holding the controller like this. No, put that way at the back. I will even let you put it ahead of the NES controller, but absolutely not in front of the game. Absolutely not. No flipping.
That's tough. You're saying right here.
Yeah, that's honestly that's the worst controller in the whole. That's the whole worst controller that's ever been made. But I will agree to put it there. I would even agree if you wanted to put it ahead of the PlayStation controller. But the Nintendo 64 controller, I'm already giving you at a D tier, which is clearly an A tier controller. Absolutely, I cannot believe you just said that.
Wii U gamepad. I really have no opinion. So you are placing this one.
So I don't like that I'm placing this one because the innovativeness, right, gave us the Switch. There is no doubt the Switch
wouldn't be a Switch without the Wii
this.
U.
Other than that, it is the worst controller. Other than that innovativeness, connection issues suck. You can't walk 5. I literally can't take a shit with my thing, which is what they advertised it on. And even if you could, no game supported full mode in the portable mode anyway. Connectivity was terrible. The screen scratched way too easy, even with a screen protector. The camera on it was kind of cool, although nothing ever utilized it. I'm
Is
okay
that
with
what you're thinking? Was that what you were thinking?
So, I was thinking right in front of the Nest controller, but I can live with it there. I can live with it there because I think that there are some cool things, right? Like I think Wii U Sports or Wii U Party. There was a game that you had that you only used the gamepad on, and then there are games like Mario Chase. I think we've played that. Me and you and Ryan and Cheyenne have played that. That really utilize it, and that's phenomenal. That is phenomenal.
Yeah.
Like, if it was games like that all the time, the Wii U wouldn't have failed, which we can get into next week about the Wii U, because I have all types of opinions on the Wii U. But that controller would be an S tier if they did it right. But they didn't do it right.
I gotta get a Wii U.
Yeah, you do. Wii U is a great system. They break way too easy.
I want the Wii U, and I want it bundled with all the good games.
Yeah,
the problem is,
there's only like 12 of them.
Yeah.
I mean, the Wii U has some of the most expensive games now. Devil's Third, remember that game I sent you? It's like $400 ungraded. Insane. Insane.
I was gonna go Wii controller.
Yeah, I can go Wii. Yeah.
It's advertising the nunchuck. I personally don't really like the nunchuck. I think the Wii U controller is huge.
Yeah, I do too. I'll be honest, I have it in A tier, I think. A tier in front of B tier.
Wow, that's kind of bold. I have it in B. I think I have it. I have it competing with the 360 controller.
Yep, right behind the 360. I'd be okay with that. Yeah.
This was my first spot right here.
Actually, I would flip the 360. That's what I would do.
You think it's better than?
I do think it's better than the 360 because I think it has sound in it. Right? It has sound. It's accurate. It does require a third party or a sensor bar, right, to work. But we're also talking about what, 2008. So that makes sense. I'm good with that.
First motion controller ever, right?
Yeah, I think so. Actually, I don't know if it's considered the first motion controller because I'm pretty sure the PS3 had motion control. Maybe not. And maybe the Wii came before the PS3. I don't remember. It's been a long time.
Yeah, I think there's a gyroscope or something in the PS3 controller. Yeah. It did have some motion because they made the. Yeah,
but I think didn't the PS3 come out after?
After.
Yeah,
I think it did.
So it didn't matter. So you're right. Because it definitely wasn't in the PS2 controller. It definitely wasn't in any Xbox controller. Yeah. Yep. Now there are third-party controllers that were motion-based, but that doesn't really matter.
Yeah. I'm going to go right here.
That's the worst controller.
OG
that's worse than NES.
Ooh, that's tough.
For the time, I will defer to you a little bit on this one. I was mainly a Nintendo gamer. I did have an Xbox when it came out. I was very small when the Xbox came out. In fact, that controller is the reason I didn't get an Xbox on launch day. Because it was too big for my hands. It was called, what was it called? It was called an Xbox, and they changed it to an S controller. But it was that specific controller had a name, and they even re-released it like this year or last year for the Xbox Series X or something.
Of its shitty design that people like.
Nostalgia. Yeah, and that's all it is. I don't like that controller at all. There's no reason for me to put that controller at anything other than absolute dog water, because I don't like the controller. It's too big, right? You can't stretch your hands. So even now, I still have pretty small hands. But that doesn't really matter. Above all, that controller, no matter how big your hands are, it is very hard to go from this to the button, right? My thumb is only so big. To go from the joystick all the way up to X, that's never going to happen.
Slide on this controller is dog shit. It is awful.
Yeah.
That being said, time it came out,
No. There's no way you'll
I
ever.
think it's back of C.
No
or
way.
it's somewhere in D.
Yeah, I would give you somewhere in D, like the end. Like you can name it the end.
You think it's that awful?
Oh, yeah.
When the time came out, you think
Oh
it's
yeah.
that bad?
The only good thing about it was the little rubber part in the middle of the controller that you could pick at without it like damaging. That was the only good part about that controller.
That was pretty cool.
That was it. That was the only.
So you think here?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I think there.
Yeah, I have no attachment to this controller. I haven't really used it that much.
I just don't think it's that good of a controller.
Yeah, didn't have an Xbox growing up, so got in late to the game and was like, "Yep, no, this ain't that good."
Yeah, my hands are just too small for it, and to be completely honest with you, it didn't. It was you got to remember they created a whole new redesign for the Xbox controller because of how bad it was. I mean, I know there are people now who like it because of the nostalgia, right? But in general, nobody likes that controller. Nobody. If they released that controller now and didn't have nostalgia in a different design at that same thing for the PlayStation, people would eat it alive.
Yep, I agree.
So we can go to the Dreamcast.
I know you want to go to the Dreamcast.
I do. I like that controller. I don't like it for why people think that I would like it, but I do like that controller.
I don't really have an opinion for it, so you are placing it.
I do. So
I think it's A.
You think it's A?
No, I think it's okay.
Okay, I thought you said A. I was like, "There." Okay, well now we're getting a little.
Not a
crazy.
bad controller. I don't think it's a good controller, but
I would put it.
the time it came out, I don't even know when it came out.
The only reason that I'm giving this controller my opinion of a C at the back of C is because of the VMU. The VMU that came out with it. You could it was really cool. It was revolutionary in a way. I also think the Dreamcast was revolutionary. I mean, everybody says that, but the Dreamcast really was revolutionary. You go back and you play some of those games on the Dreamcast. Graphics were fantastic.
They said it was ahead of its time.
Yeah, I mean, it just was. I mean, that's why it failed. It only failed if it would have been another year, another 2 years. It might not have failed so quickly. It was also really expensive, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, I think so.
You are missing, or they are missing some controllers on here.
Yeah,
but
they for sure are.
Is that a 6
Yeah, the
button?
problem with this site is that the people that make the lists don't have everything, or they're missing like something kind of important that definitely should be on the list but isn't on the list.
Yeah.
So really, like, if you want to utilize this website, like, I think you have to create your own pictures and stuff like that, which is fine. It just takes a lot of time, and you got to think of everything.
Yeah, it's a pain in the ass.
I like the Sega Genesis controller.
I do too. I really like that controller. I think it's high
I think
C tier.
it's back. I think it's. I was gonna say back of B.
So this is
I
what
don't think
matters though. I'm assuming that's a 6-button Genesis controller, correct? I'm assuming that's what that is.
I think this is.
It's either that or it's a Sega Genesis or a Sega Saturn controller.
Saturn. Yep.
Okay, so I'm okay with that. Then Sega Saturn has to be probably behind the Wii U Pro controller, to be honest with you. I really like the Genesis controller. If it was a little bit bigger, I wouldn't be complaining. Zoom in one more time. I thought I just saw you zoom in.
The Saturn? Yeah.
Yeah, and it's the heavy sixer. Yeah, So that part you're on right now.
This part right here.
Yeah, should be a little bit bigger, and it would be a lot better, in my opinion. But for fighting games, that is the controller. If you're not going to use a fight pad, that's the controller.
I agree. This does look like a. I've never used this controller. It does look like a good fight pad.
It's a great fight pad.
So this came out after Genesis, right?
Yes,
I like the Genesis controller.
I do too. There is a heavy six. I think they call it a heavy sixer, if I can't remember correctly. But there's a 6-button Genesis controller too, I believe. That one would go ahead of it, just because again for fighting games, it makes it. I don't know if it's made by Genesis or Sega or who it was made for, but it's a little bit, in my opinion, a little bit better if I'm thinking properly.
That's the list. This is the list we got here.
We've got nothing in S tier.
We could reorganize it, or we could just completely eliminate S tier. Which is might actually be the good thing. There shouldn't be an S tier, I don't think. I think we do this. I think we delete it. I think it's that. It doesn't look as cool, I guess, because it doesn't have all the different graphs, but...
Yeah, I mean, I think what we need to do, I'll be honest with you, I'm good with all of that. You need to make an F tier, right? And you need to put the Wii U controller. Though everything from, you can't see what I'm pointing at, I'm an idiot. Everything from the Wii U Pro controller down should be an F tier. Nope.
Including, Wii U
No, the
controller.
Wii Pro, the white one, right next to the PlayStation 1 controller, the Wii Pro controller, not the Wii U, sorry. Yeah, right. Nope. Down one. Right there. Everything. Yep. Everything there and on needs to be in its own F tier. That's the perfect list almost. Other than the Nintendo 64 controller, which I'm just disappalled that you even said that, but that is what it is.
Yeah, I'm fighting for that.
And I'll get
spot for that controller, but we'll settle on incorrect D1.
I think I would give it C1 or even B.
Back of B somewhere.
Back of B right before the Sega Genesis controller is where I would put it. But that's fine.
Before the Genesis controller.
Yeah, I really like the Nintendo 64 controller. And there is some nostalgia to it. I'm not going to lie about that, right?
If we're being honest, I would rank PS2 a little higher.
I could get PS2 behind. I could get PS2 all the way in front of Sega Genesis. Or not Genesis, Sega Saturn. I could do that.
This is PS3. Yeah. I'm sorry.
That's what I was referring to as the PS3.
PS3, I thought it was fine.
Okay.
I think you could argue it's back of B. I personally liked it. PS2 controller, when it came out, I very much liked. I think it would be competing at a top spot in B.
Really?
When it came out, I loved the PS2. I love the PS2.
What was out at the same time as PS2? So GameCube. I guess I could go with that. I could get behind that, right, at the time relative term. Yeah, if we're giving GameCube an A, I could get behind that. I could get behind that. I could get behind that if you can give an F tier to those last 3 fucking shit controllers.
Yeah, I mean, I could make that. There we go. Add row below. It's F.
Shit, I call it just shit tier. Absolute dog water. It's the worst controllers ever. Oh, this is good. Now you fucked up. Connor. Yeah. Yep.
Let's go gray here. There we go.
I'm thinking.
Do we like it?
So I want to put the Wii U above Dreamcast.
Wow.
I'm thinking about.
Wow. Wii U above Dreamcast. Yeah, I know. I don't have any issue with that.
Yeah, that's.
I've only had the Wii U gamepad in my hands a few times. I thought it was kind of cool.
Yeah,
it didn't weigh. It weighed a good amount, which is kind of the part I liked it. Maybe it was a little too much, but.
Yeah, I agree.
A ton of buttons.
It's got a lot of buttons. It's got a camera on it. It's versatile. It's something new. Connection sucked. Battery sucked. The controller port to charge it sucked. But it was something different. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
I mean, controller with a screen. That's dope as hell.
Yeah, I mean, it's a Switch before it was a Switch. Yeah, I think that list is perfect. If we were going to keep S tier, which we didn't, but if we were, I would probably put the GameCube controller in S tier and keep PlayStation in A tier.
Interesting.
I do think the GameCube controller, specifically the Wavebird, is probably the best controller of all time.
That's a good point. You had your own third party controllers and stuff like this in this list. List looks a lot different.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Especially if you're looking at that micro controller.
You have that ranked very. We're opposite charts of that controller.
Yeah, I love that controller. I think that controller is amazing. I wouldn't put it above the Wavebird controller, I don't think. But I would put it.
Yeah.
I would put it. I would put it above the PlayStation controller and the original. Like, I wouldn't use the. If you gave me a microcontroller, and I guess it's been a long time since I've used one, right? So I'm looking at the 8, 10, 12-year-old me, right? When we're playing Double Dash, and I was playing Double Dash on it. And my hands were small, right? I clearly have not big hands. To be able to move that around was fantastic. I didn't use the turbo button. I never liked turbo buttons in any controller I've ever used.
Yeah.
So I never used that. But everything else about the controller was perfect. It was perfect. And it was cheap, too. It was really cheap. And for when I was young, we didn't have a lot of money, so we were able to get another controller. And I was mad, right? Because everyone back in the day was like, oh, you have third-party controllers. I love that freaking controller. I used that controller. Man. The nubs were gone on it by the time I got rid of it. I mean, they were literally gone on the blue one. They were gone. And I think I had 2 blue ones. I think I replaced my blue one. And then I also had an orange one. And the orange one was completely, the grips were down to nothing. I used that controller. I mean, other than the Nintendo 64, the GameCube was probably my most played system other than the Nintendo 64. To this day, I think I've spent more time on the GameCube than I have any other system on the 64.
I would make the point I probably played slightly more PS2, but I played a shit ton of GameCube.
I didn't. PlayStation 1 I had a PS2, but I didn't play it. I liked Xbox. Xbox 360, I barely owned a PS3. In fact, I don't think I ever bought a PS3. I think I have one. I know I have one, but I don't. It's out there, but I don't ever play it. I only use it now to play PS1 games because I like the PS1. I don't play any. I think I have a total of like 7 PS3 games. I didn't. Damn. I had less than 10 PS4 games. I have more now because I buy them at thrift stores and stuff, obviously. But like in that moment, I think at the end of the PlayStation life cycle, I think I had less than 10 games and like 3 or 4 of them were sealed.
Yeah.
And that's just because they were limited run games.
Oh yeah.
So I never opened them.
I gotta pee real quick.
Yeah.
You think of a question you may have.
I got one. So you go ahead and pee, and then we will.
Oh hell yeah! There we go.
It'll be our last topic of the day too.
Okay, sounds good.
Ryder lost to Providence by 1 point. That's a problem. I think I had Ohio winning, so I think I won some money there. I think. Ohio versus Miami. I did. I killed that, so I won that. So that makes my money back for that one. That's an interesting one. Ball State and Toledo. No. It's Toledo's ball. It's Toledo's ball.
I'm ready.
All right. You ready for this one? And this will be good because I am fully in it. For those of you guys who don't know, I used to live in Wisconsin. I now live in Illinois, where sports betting is completely legal. My question is, because I'll be honest with you, right? This is I don't know if it's really a question, but it's more of a debate. Since since I have been in Illinois, right? Now, for those of you guys who don't know, I'm not going to get into my past, but I have a very addictive personality. Very addictive personality. When I go in it, I am in it, and it is a rabbit hole that I will be down for months. Sports gambling. Okay. Do you think people? Because you also gamble on sports, right? If you lived in Illinois, you would definitely gamble more.
Absolutely.
So I think that it's interesting because I feel like in the last 3 years, specifically not last year, right? Now I've lived in Illinois for about a year now, and take out this last year, I lost my love for sports. Before this year, can't remember the time that I watched a full NFL game. I have watched every NFL game for this time. I have watched a soccer game today that I have never watched a game of soccer. I watched a ping pong game yesterday at about 2:30 in the morning. And before that, I watched a cricket game. Can't tell you how to play cricket, but I sure the hell watched some cricket. Do you think that people who are, and it's obvious, right? People who are either addicted to sports gambling, which is obviously a thing, and if that's your thing and it's tore apart your life, I apologize, and this is not to be insensitive or anything like that, because it is an addiction, and I want to make sure that it's very clear that addictions are a thing, and I don't want to touch on it and make light of a situation, right? So if this offends you, I first of all, I apologize. Right. Second of all, I don't really care because this is a not safe for work podcast. And third of all thing is this is in no way, shape, or way or form meant to make you feel one way or another about sports betting. I want to clear that up, and I apologize, Connor, but I want to make sure that everybody's kind of on the same page.
This is your opinion.
Yeah, it's my thing, right? I'm not forcing it on anybody or anything like that. I think the better you are at sports betting, and Connor will tell you, I've had some out there calls. And I am definitely up right now. There's no doubt about it. Do you think that it is bringing my love back for sports? Or do you just think that people who like to bet so much that it doesn't really matter what we're betting on? And I want you to use you as an example because you personally cannot bet in Wisconsin.
I like that. That's perfect.
That's a good question, isn't it?
That's really good. So I love sports. You love sports.
I do.
Right?
I do.
You're a competitive person. If it's a sport, someone says they can beat you at it, you're gonna say, "Nah, fuck that. I'm gonna beat you at it."
Absolutely.
So I love sports. Doesn't matter the sport really at all. I love sports.
Sure. Okay.
Gambling makes me like sports more.
Yes. Yup. So here's what I will say, right? And even on your side, right? Now, obviously, you're not here gambling, but I tell you most of all, if not all of my picks, right? I mean, and for those of you guys who don't know, right? Like, I'm going to read some of these crazy picks that I've had, if that's okay with you, Connor, just so they can kind of understand. I've never bet on a college or anything like that. I had $100 on Bournemouth today, and I won.
Today?
I have no idea. Yep.
College football today.
Yeah, I guess. Dillian Pro, right? I won on soccer. Oregon State, Golden State twice, Portland twice. And I don't normally bet $5 or $10, right? Because if I truly think I'm going to win, Connor will know. I've thrown down some real money on winning or losing. Now, the difference is I never bet something that I can't afford to lose, right? To be fair.
Right.
But I would be lying to you guys if I said that I enjoyed the soccer game I watched today. I enjoyed the hell out of it. I lost.
And you don't hate soccer.
I don't hate soccer. I used to play soccer. It was one of my best sports when I was young.
Yeah. And that's part of you liking sports.
Yes.
Because a lot of people, at least here, say, soccer's dumb.
Yeah.
Overseas, it's the biggest sport ever.
Right. I agree.
So we're right in the middle. We think it's
okay. I would not have watched that game, though. Here's what I will say. I would not have watched that game had I been in Wisconsin.
I agree.
I would not have watched that game.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have turned it on. I wouldn't have even looked at the score. I wouldn't have even known. This was a Spain team playing. I want to make it very clear. I had to look up how to watch this game. I had to look it up. In fact, there is a work chat of mine of a group of young guys who one of my employees, who they all love soccer. That's their sport. We watch football. They love soccer, right? They love it. They know the players, they know the teams, they know all that shit. We know football, right? Or basketball or really anything.
Yeah.
I immediately texted them in the middle of this game, and it was a connection, right? And now I think at that point I would have watched that game, whether I had the money on it or not, but I would not have sent that text had I not bet on that game because I wouldn't have watched it. And I'll tell you what, I started the game because I couldn't figure out how to watch it by doing this live thing and following up with what was happening on the live thing, on the betting app, where I was like, oh, okay.
Play-by-play.
Yeah, play-by-play, right? And it's soccer, so it's the play is, he kicks it to the left, he kicks it to the right, until they attack. I would not have enjoyed the game like I did without betting.
Yes.
And
I completely agree with you, and I see your point 100%.
But now, I guess here's my other thing, right? We all know, and I'll be honest with you guys, I'm going to piss a lot of people off, and there is some joking to it, right? I don't like to watch baseball. I don't like baseball. I'll play baseball, but we've all talked about, right? I'll go to a baseball game. I will go tailgate. I will sit in the stands, and I will eat the hell out of some hot dogs. But I will never watch a game on the TV. It is still the only sport that I will only bet on when I have an inkling of who's going to win, or the odds are so in favor, and then I still won't watch that game. That's how much I dislike baseball. I watched last night Chinese ping pong. By the way, I love ping pong. I'm actually really good at ping pong. But I watched Chinese ping pong last night at 2 o'clock in the morning because there was nothing else on and I wasn't tired. But I would not watch baseball. I also don't bet on baseball, though. So I guess that's kind of where you're coming from, right? And I think that's a good point. Right? Is love to bet because it's that thrill, right? It's that thrill, right? I mean, it is. It's that thrill. It's the thrill of the risk. But I think I also enjoy it because there was a love of sports at one time. And I think I kind of lost it because, I mean, we're all getting older, right? We all have responsibilities now. We all have things we're doing. So to sit down and watch a full football game isn't something that I could do for a while physically, right? I have my son. We were going to the flea market. We were running the business. We were doing this. We were doing that. I have since enjoyed Sundays more since sports betting has come into my life. And for those, Connor kind of hit it on the head. Me and him are very competitive. We go back and forth in a lot of different things. Some things he wins very marginal. Actually, that's a lie. Some things he loses very small by, and some things he loses by a lot by. But the end of the day is we're always talking sports. I enjoy the connection sports betting is bringing, because we would talk about sports picks, right? Before I was betting, we would talk about sports picks. Do you think we would talk about it at the level we're talking now?
So Ryan's got a pick'em league.
Yeah.
So I'm usually talking about, even with her, like, who do you think's gonna win this week, or who's your big upset that you're picking this week? Is it gambling? Yeah, I guess in a sense, I'm gambling points.
Yeah, I mean, you're definitely just because you're not risking anything, right? I mean, me and you are competitive enough to the point where if someone came up to us and said, "Hey, you suck at calling sports things," first of all, I would show them my betting app, And then second of all, I would be like, oh, how can I prove this? Right? So I think you are betting something because if you lose that at least for me, and I'll speak for myself, but I'm sure Connor's going to agree with me, if you lose, that hurts your pride. There's no doubt about it. There is, if you lose, especially to someone you shouldn't lose to, it bothers you.
It hurts. Yep.
And let's be completely honest, right? Any given Sunday, a team can win or lose, right? Mistakes happen, bad calls. Aaron Rodgers can throw 3 picks. All of that can happen, right? Now, is there skill to it? Absolutely. But I also think there's a lot of luck, right? For instance, if Ryan Tannehill plays in that game, I make $1,500 more, right? Instead of fucking Willis, who is trash. Not even going to get started on that guy. But I think that there's a lot to it. And I think, I was talking to Cheyenne about this last night, right? Like, I really like sports betting. I also, and Connor hit it on the head, I like sports.
Yep.
So I think you mix the two together. Like, would I bet on...
Because you're in Illinois, it's legal to gamble, sports gamble, online gambling, everything. At least I think it's legal to online gamble in Illinois. Like card games and stuff like that. Because I don't even think that's legal. I don't think it's legal in Wisconsin to do that either. But yeah, it's probably legal in Illinois. But you're not playing online poker or
no
online roulette or
Now I would bet on Madden games because that's what I enjoy, right? I would bet on Madden games, especially if I was betting on myself. I would bet on Madden games.
Oh, is that is esports in Caesar's Sportsbook?
No, it's not in Caesar's Sportsbook, but it's
in something else.
Yeah, it's got Draft Saloon or Players Lounge. There's a few of them that you can put money up and bet against people. Not really bet. I think you can bet on the watches and stuff like that. I don't know for sure. I don't know that. I haven't done it yet. But I'm part of this. So when I won that tournament, I got some invites into some real Madden leagues, some real big ones. And you see a lot of comments, and I'm really focused on the tournaments right now. I'm not really focused on individual play because I think I have a chance to really make a splash. I mean, I know everyone says they're good at Madden, but it's just different. It's just different.
Level.
Yeah, the level is just different.
It's Tyler on Fortnite.
Yeah, exactly. It's just a different level, right? So I think when I'm talking about Madden, like I would go and bet on myself. Would I do it right now in the biggest tournament style for me that it's my first time? No. But I promise you once February comes around and things have kind of slowed down on Madden and I'm not playing in tournaments and I'm not streaming it as much, I would absolutely bet on it. Mm-hmm. But it's also because I love the game and I'm also confident in myself.
Yeah.
I would never go and bet on me playing Call of Duty. I wouldn't do that.
Yeah.
Me personally.
But, Call of Duty, you're not fully invested in. That's not
right. Now here's what I would do. If I had an odds with you and someone else, I would bet on you playing Call of Duty. That I would do.
I think I'm definitely above average at Call of Duty.
Yeah, I would bet on you playing Call of Duty. I would bet on you. I mean, not right. It's a different level again. But I would bet on you playing because I think it would be cool for. I am not great at Call of Duty, right? I'm not. I'm just not good at it. But I like to watch greatness happen, and if I can make some money while understanding someone's great at something, I'm all for that, right?
Right.
That's why I think that for me, I would never bet on a gymnastics competition. I couldn't do it, right? Because I would feel screwed if I felt I feel like that person won, but you feel like that person won, and I get their scoring and stuff like that and all of that.
Yeah.
But I like to know at the end who is the definitive winner. Who is it?
Whose skill matches up against?
Yeah, because I think there are some things, right, that if you take someone who won. My sister's in cheer. My sister does all of my sisters were in cheer. Or at least on my dad's side, all of them were in cheer, right? And they are very good. When I say they win trips to Disney every year, they do. Every single year they're going to Disney. I can't remember the year they didn't go to Disney for Disney Summit or for Cheer Summit, right? So they're very good, and I'm not taking I want to make it very clear. They're very, very good. I think, and this can go either way, right? If they do a routine at Disney Summit and they don't win, I call bullshit, right? And I can call bullshit for the other team if they do win, right? Because I think if you flip the routines, it doesn't always win, and that's my problem. Now, it takes much more skill to be a fantastic cheerleader than it does to be in football. I'm not the body muscles, the way you twerk your body, all of that. But until they, what's up?
It takes more skill to be
like a official cheer, like a competitive cheer, not just the cheers like in right, like they're just at high school. I'm talking about like what my sister does, right? She is like, she can do flips in a row, all of that kind of crazy stuff. And I don't think it's fair until they come out with a real way to judge it. And I guess maybe there is, and I'm just uneducated, which could be the case. But I think, right, if you're doing a more difficult trick and you fall, you attempted that difficult trick to someone who didn't attempt that difficult trick.
Yeah.
And I think that there's no real true way to score it, and that's the issue I have.
Yeah, the part of that sucks too, because you never want to try and get better. You just want to get good at a selective skill.
Yeah.
Like,
well, I don't know if I agree with that either, though, because I think
parts of the cheer, they're like, "Yep, this is the max I should go for in competition."
Yes,
which I think sucks because they're not putting their all into it, and they should always put their all into it.
Yep, I agree.
They're
100%.
limiting their ability just to get a better, which sucks.
So I'm going to use an example, right, from, and it's a movie, I understand. Breaking It Old School, right, with Jamie Foxx. Was that Jamie Foxx? I don't remember. I think it was Jamie Foxx, but I don't remember. And he does it. He falls into a coma. For those of you guys who haven't seen it, if you haven't seen the movie, you probably won't. So it doesn't really matter. Have you seen it, Connor?
Nope.
Okay. So this kid, when he's young, he's in a breakdancing competition with his friends, and there's a bully, right? And he's trying to flirt on this girl or whatever. And the other team was winning the breakdancing competition at school, and he does a backflip off of a stage, and he goes into a coma for 30 years. He missed the twist, right?
Okay.
That other team would have never landed that move. He had practiced that move and had landed it, or at least that's the idea of it, right? And then obviously 30 years later, they re-put back their breakdancing team, and it's the same thing 30 years later, and that's why it's called Breaking It Old School. And it's obviously a movie, right? But he goes for the trick again, and he lands it. He falls into a coma, it's 30 years, whatever, and yada, yada, yada. Doesn't really matter, right? The point of it is he attempted that trick. That's my issue, is people who get penalized, right? And we can move it to sports, too. LeBron James gets penalized for making the finals, but not winning. But we don't ever penalize Damian Lillard for not even making the finals.
Yeah, I agree with that. 100%.
I would rather make the finals or attempt that trick.
Yes.
And fail than not be able to do that trick, and or get to that finals, right? I think that's
at least you made it to second out of lots.
Yep. Or if you're doing the trick, right? At least you attempted that trick that nobody else had the guts to attempt. Because I think you're right? I think that there's skill base for tricks that are. I mean, that guy from the Olympics, right? And I use gymnastics a lot because gymnastics is kind of the same thing. Gymnastics is a solo sport, right? Cheerleading is multiple, so less room for error. Much harder to be a good cheerleading team because you have to rely on more people, right? So I'm going to use gymnastics with that guy who won the Olympics and almost had to give back that medal because technically he shouldn't have gotten that high. But the judges felt it was that high. So how can you say he didn't deserve that? And I think he ended up getting to keep his medal, if I remember. Maybe you remember. I don't really recall. But I think he kept his medal, and he basically said, no, fluff you guys. Like, that's what you graded me. That's what it is. That was one of the biggest controversies in Olympic history.
Yeah, and I think that hurts the sport, too.
Yeah, absolutely. Because then you have people like me thinking that, hey, there's no fair way to judge this, when there might really be.
Yeah, and especially if someone's saying someone that won didn't win, or you know should have won and didn't win, or any of those. Yeah, that hurts the sport.
Well, I mean, you brought up a good point the last time we talked about this, and I'm going to use your point, and you'll probably, well, you should agree because it was your point. Simone Biles, who is arguably the greatest gymnast of all time, gets judged harder because she's better.
Yep.
That's not fair, right?
No.
It's just not. That's what bothers me, right? In football, right? Yeah, there are bad referee calls. Yeah, there's all of that. If you break that plane, you can't take away that touchdown. I mean, you could with a fake penalty, but eventually you're going to get fired because there's calls, right? The basketball, yeah, there can be calls, all of that, but if that basketball goes in that hoop, other than that one time that James Harden went through twice and he got called no call, that's a basket.
Yeah, a game relying on someone scoring something or basically refereeing something, that's all subjective, and because after you judge one competition, you should never be able to judge again, because then you are comparing it to
something
previous times you've seen something.
Yeah.
Or you're like, yeah, this person is definitely up here, these other people are up here.
Yeah.
You should be able to ref one game. Or,
wasn't that
appreciate one game?
Wasn't that the big deal with Dwayne Wade in the dunk contest a couple years ago? Because his teammate, he gave a higher score to because he said, I've never seen that move done before. And it wasn't technically a better dunking for points.
Yeah. See, yeah. Another thing that's subjective scoring, stuff like that.
Yeah. So I think that I think before we can really get into like what is what it isn't, is we have to have a definitive answer of what scoring is for the subjective title or for the subjective things, right? Yes. Because you can't have non-subjective sports competing in the same subjective sports. It doesn't work. It just will not work.
Completely agree.
It's just not fair. I mean, you can definitively say Michael Phelps is one of the greatest, if not the greatest swimmer of all time. Actually, I think he's got the medals to prove it, right? You cannot definitively say Simone Biles is the best gymnast of all time. Even though we all agree she is, you can't say that because she's been judged much harsher than Michael Phelps has, because Michael Phelps has an end goal. If he hits it, he hits it. It's over.
Yeah. He's the fastest. He wins.
He wins. There's you can't take it away from him. You can't lose anything. There's nothing else you can do other than what it is. Mm-hmm. And that is the problem I have. And to get how we got from sports betting to this, I think that's why until we get to that point, sports betting will always remain the main basketball, football, soccer, definitive ones, because there is no way to bet on. Maybe there is, and I just don't know because I'm newer to Illinois, but there shouldn't be any way to bet on subjective sports.
Yeah.
Because I think what Connor sees, what I see, what Cheyenne sees, what Ryan sees, what John down the street sees might be different, right? I think there are some things that can be learned, and I think there are some things that just can't be learned. That's what I think.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I think that something that's hard for me might not be hard for you, but why are you judged on that thing? Because you're naturally better at it, right? I mean, that just is what it is. I mean, we're all given different, call them attributes, call them traits, call them whatever you want. But the thing of the matter is we all have different attributes. We're all different at different things, which gives you your natural advantage, right? But if you work and you perfect your craft, I shouldn't be punished because my competition can't keep up with me.
Yeah. So, like, someone scoring gymnastics, Simone Biles does 6 spins, and someone else does 5 spins. Simone Biles should win every single time.
Yep. Yep, 100%.
Someone's like, oh, she did 5.5 spins this time, but she's usually right in that 5 range. Yeah, that's horseshit.
Yeah. No, and I think it happens a lot. Now, do I think that it happens on all levels? Absolutely. But do I think that it happens at the level that it's getting watched on the Olympics? No, I think Simone Biles is a little bit more popular than the college team the other teams that are doing it. But I still think it exists on all levels, and I guess that's why I have such a huge issue with it. Because while it is obviously it's very hard, right? I'm not. Don't come for me in these comments. I'm giving all the credit that is due to cheerleading, to gymnastics, to any subjective sport, right? Because and there are ways to score it. I'm not denying that. But there's also that one judge who can ruin it the whole time, just like there is a ref. But at the ref, they're eventually going to get caught.
Ability will always take over a referee. And
yeah, exactly.
If I'm not getting calls, but every other at bat I'm hitting a home run, I'm still hitting a home run. You know,
exactly. No, you hit it on the head, right? That's the difference.
I still have an outcome in the game to outplay someone.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree more. Connor, I liked this. I'm gonna say it for our viewers. This was a good time.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
We're gonna do this. You thinking Tuesdays? Tuesdays. We'll even have Cheyenne and Ryan hop on. We'll get them on. If they want to be on camera, they can. Otherwise, they can just be on voice. I think we have a lot of things we can talk about here, and I think we would be entertaining to watch. So,
I have a whole other tier list that we didn't even go to.
Do you want to save that for next week, or do you want to pound it out?
It's up to you. I don't know your time constraint.
I don't want to make it too long for YouTube to upload it, because that's where I'm going to upload this.
There you go.
So let's hold it off for next week.
Okay.
What is the tier list, so I can start to kind of think?
Should I give a preview?
Yeah, give a preview. Let's give a preview, guys. Let's give a preview.
Ball guy.
Oh my God. I want to do this now, but we got to wait till next week.
I already see a bunch of Fs.
Yes. Yeah, we'll have to do this next week. Well, this is going to be a... Yeah.
Just perfect match. That's an F. Jinx. That's an F.
We're gonna wait. We gotta wait till next week. We gotta wait till next week. But this is a perfect note to leave it at, because a lot of these are subjective. And this will be really good. So thank you guys for watching. We will have this uploaded. So what'll happen is it'll be uploaded every Thursday, and then on Monday we will do Tuesday. It will be uploaded every Thursday, and Tuesday we will do the recording of it. We'll get people involved. Hopefully we can get some cool things going. We will get better at this. This was our first time. So if there are errors, there are things that piss you off, I don't know what to tell you. You'll be all right. And if you don't like it, then you can get bent. If you do like it, hopefully you turn in for next week. Connor, close us out. Close us out.
Yep. Tier list Tuesday. I think we could do that.
I think we could do it too. Tier list Tuesday. Thank you guys for watching. We'll talk to you all real soon. And stay fresh and stay subjective.